We're waiting.
Welcome into the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us this afternoon as we get you set up for the weekend. Got a lot of great stuff we're going to get into today. Is Kyle Trask having a year like Joe Burrow had last year? We'll get into that. And we got a lot more set up for you this afternoon, but we will start as we head out to the phones. And welcome in from Kicking It with Crowder, the host of Kicking It with Crowder, Tyler Crowder. Tyler, what's up, buddy?
What's up, Rob? Thanks for having me on, man.
Hey, appreciate you joining us today, man. We got a lot of stuff we're going to get into this evening. First of all, you know, the SEC is dealing with a lot of COVID stuff, and it's hit the Big Ten as well. My first question to you this afternoon as we get set up for the football weekend. You know, Ohio State, if they can't reschedule their game this weekend, do you think that a team that plays 7 regular season games should have the opportunity to be in the college football playoff, or is it just not enough, regardless of how they finish up?
Yeah, I mean, I just think this year has been so up and down with the COVID situation, and I feel like, you know, other teams are being affected as well. You know, you have a team like Wisconsin, and they've missed the last 2 games. Now Ohio State misses a game, and the rule in the Big Ten is you have to play 6 games at least to be able to go to the Big Ten championship. Well, what if Ohio State gets another 2 games canceled? They only have 5 games played. I'm guessing Ohio State and the Big Ten are going to try everything they can to still assure a spot for Ohio State in the playoff, because I just think they're one of the best 4 teams in the land this year. They have a high explosive offense, but, you know, it's just really not their fault this week. The Maryland program is the one dealing with the COVID outbreak. So it's just a weird year. College football playoffs are really going to have a tough time deciding, you know, how many games or, you know, how they select teams this year.
Well, but it's going to come down to, in my opinion, who deserves it over who you think is better. Because you can make the argument that Ohio State has more talent than a lot of different teams, but you can also make the argument that they really haven't done enough to get there if they play in, say, 6 regular season games. They're down to 7 now, and people are like, well, you're putting the cart before the horse here, Rob. And no, it's not like that. It's just that there is an opportunity there where if one team decides, hey, they're not going to follow the protocols that can keep them from testing positive, or even if they don't, even if they do follow the protocols and something happens, you know, it could end up messing up Ohio State down the road. And you know, I feel bad for Ohio State, but I put the blame on the Big Ten. It's all about the Big Ten being screwy, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know, them waiting a whole month, 5-6 weeks to play, that may come back to haunt them. In a sense, they try to get cute and cancel the games, and then they try to save face once everyone else is playing, and it may come back to haunt them. You're right, and you know, who's to blame? I think you're right. The Big Ten is to blame because they waited so long to play, and then now in the Pac-12, you have a team like Cal who, you know, waited this whole time to play. Their game last week gets canceled, and then now this week's game's up in the air as well. So it sucks. It's a crappy situation every week having to deal with this, seeing how many postponed games. 4 SEC games postponed this weekend. I think 8 or 9 in total this weekend. So, I mean, it's not over. I mean, we're gonna be talking about this every week for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it definitely is a mess. That's pretty much the only terminology I can use when it comes down to that. When we step back and look, though, there is a lot of the SEC really doesn't really have an interesting matchup this weekend, other than unless you're a fan. I mean, South Carolina and Ole Miss are two teams that are below 500. I guess your best SEC matchup is Arkansas, Florida. Wait, what? I mean, that's wow.
Yeah, it was a hard week to pick games this week for my podcast. I put 5 games out there every weekend. I mean, this week I had to go with some teams who I wouldn't normally pick. So it's definitely, like you said, Arkansas, Florida. I guess Felipe Franks will get his shot at his former team, the Florida Gators. But man, like you mentioned earlier, Kyle Trask, he's having a heck of a season down there. And I will admit I was wrong on the Kyle Trask Heisman hype before the season. I wasn't believing it. I didn't believe it. I'm a believer now because he is a great football player, and he's putting himself in a position to maybe play a few years in the NFL with how he's playing this season.
So I was actually going to bring this up. This is going to be something I was going to talk about later, but I'll hit you with it right now. Through 5 games last season, Joe Burrow played against Georgia Southern, Texas, Northwestern State, Vandy, and Utah State. He threw for 1,864 yards, 78% completion percentage, 22 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. His QBR was 91. That's through 5 games. Through 5 games this season, Trask has played Ole Miss, South Carolina, Texas A&M, Missouri, and Georgia. He's thrown for 1,815 yards, completed 69% of his passes, 22 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a 93 QBR. That is pretty much on par with what Joe Burrow did last year, but Joe Burrow played a bunch of bums. That's basically the way that I look at it. The toughest game on that schedule is Texas. Okay. Yeah, they played well at Texas, but let's just be honest. The rest of it was flat. And I'm not mocking Joe Burrow. I'm just shining more light on what Kyle Trask is doing down at the University of Florida, having a lights-out kind of year.
Yeah, and he's having a good a season as Tebow had when he won the Heisman in 2007 as well. So Kyle Trask, you got to give credit to Dan Mullen, putting this guy in situations that make him successful and the offense successful. He has the Kyle Pitts, the tight end, who's an absolute weapon. You saw when he got knocked out of that Georgia game, they didn't move the ball and score as much when he got knocked out of the game. But man, Kyle Trask, his running backs, the way he can hit those running backs out of the backfield. I mean, he was torching Georgia over and over again on those wheel routes. And man, Kyle Trask, he's a lot bigger too. When you watch him play, he doesn't look like he's 6'4", 6'5". I mean, he's a big guy, and I really like his potential. Maybe a sleeper, maybe late first round sleeper next year for the NFL draft as well.
Look, I know that you are down in the heart of Georgia, but I can say this without Bulldogs fans jumping down my throat. And I'm not taking anything away from what Kyle Trask did against them, but maybe Georgia just isn't that good. Maybe they're just completely overhyped every year, like they've been overhyped since I was a kid. Maybe they're just not that good. Can we start to get on that bandwagon just a little bit?
Well, I will say Georgia missing Richard LeCounte was big for them. Not saying that he would have made a difference in the game on the final outcome, but he would have definitely helped them. He's an All-American safety, 3-year starter at Georgia. And not having him, he was in a motorcycle accident kind of the day of the Arkansas game last week after they got back. I mean, not Arkansas, I'm sorry. Whoever they played last weekend. So Kentucky. And, not having him, that was huge. He's the leader of that defense. Also, Jordan Davis, big defensive tackle, didn't play well. But this key to the Georgia team, they just don't have the signal caller like Florida has in Kyle Trask. That quarterback situation, Jamie Newman, I really want to know why he didn't come. Did he not think this team was as talented as he thought before? Did he not win the job? I mean, I want to know because Jamie Newman, I think he could have made a heck of an impact this year for Georgia.
Maybe
and it's kind of another what-if year.
Maybe Jamie Newman was on the same track that I am, that maybe Georgia's just not that good. I'm just being completely honest. They are not that good. And you know what? They better be lucky they didn't play Mizzou this weekend, because if they went in with half a heart against Mizzou, which after Florida stomped on the other half of their heart, Mizzou might beat them into oblivion. Mizzou is playing some pretty good football right now, one of the more hungry teams in the SEC East, and they don't have time for somebody that's going to come in and be like, oh, well, you should just look at the G on the side of our helmet and think that we're awesome. They're not playing that with Coach Drink up there in Columbia, Mizzou.
Yeah, he's done a nice job with that football team. And like I said, Georgia's just another what-if year. They have all those 5 stars but no championships. And it's starting. Kirby's starting to look a little more and more like Mark 2.0 every day. I didn't believe it at first, but now you look at the numbers. I mean, they're very, very similar in their first, 5-6 years at the program.
I'd like to see Dave Clawson at Wake Forest with the talent that Georgia has, because Dave Clawson makes. He'll make you a hamburger out of a turnip and have you thinking that it's all ground beef. I honestly believe that he is one of the most underrated coaches in the country. Wake Forest sitting at 4-2. They're playing North Carolina this weekend, and the Tar Heels better have their stuff together, because if they don't, they'll catch an L for Wake. I mean, I'm that on board with Dave Clawson, and there's talk about maybe Will Muschamp may not be here next year. Whoever the athletic director or the decision maker is at South Carolina, they need to make a decision right off the bat that Dave Clawson should be the first person they call, period. After that, they should probably go with Jamie Chadwell down at Coastal. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to hit you with all that, but that's just how I feel. I mean, it's just, I just look at what Georgia has, and I would love to see them with someone who can actually develop talent, because I don't think that Kirby Smart's done a good job with that down there yet, at least translating it into wins anyway.
Yeah, SEC East championships aren't good enough. He's got to compete for SEC championships year in, year out with that roster he's got. And maybe Kirby just needs to step back a little bit on the offensive side of the ball and let Jeff Monken kind of make more of decisions on the offensive side of the ball, because Kirby – right now, you don't have, what you have in Stetson Bennett, and it's kind of a game manager, guy who's a good story. Dwayne Mathis, I don't think he's the answer. JT Daniels, I mean, he hasn't even stepped foot on the field. We don't know if he's healthy. Then you have a Carson Beck, 4-star recruit. I mean, I'd go with JT Daniels or Carson Beck, see what you have there the rest of the season. You're not going to go to the SEC championship, most likely. A 98% chance Florida goes now with that victory last week. So, yeah, man, see what you got. With some of the horses, and you have to find a quarterback going into next year. You have to have that guy. If you don't have that guy, you're just not going to be very competitive in college football these days.
Can you make the argument that they didn't give Dwan Mathis enough time? He got 1/2 against Arkansas and garbage time against Florida. Maybe they just haven't given him enough time to get in there and get his reps. If he had the same amount of reps as Stetson Bennett, the third or fourth, or you think that he may be a little more lathered up and ready to play?
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Dwayne Mathis at this point. I know, like you said, he hasn't got much time against Arkansas, but he got, a couple series to prove. Sometimes all you need is just a couple series here and there, and you make an impact. And he hasn't been able to do it yet. Maybe you do give him a start and give him a whole game to kind of see what he can put on tape. But yeah, I mean, you could say he hasn't got enough. He hasn't got enough chances, or you say, hey, you got 2 chances, and he just wasn't able to get it done. So maybe you do let him get a whole game out there and put it on tape. But I'd look for the freshman Carson Beck. I really like what he brings to the table. He's a 4-star guy, high recruit. Maybe you have four games left. Let's see what you have in him. So interesting. They got to make a decision soon, though, because you don't want to let this season get out of control.
I'm with you on that, but I think he should be given more of an opportunity with the mentality of, hey, we're not going to try to sling the ball around as much. We're going to do more controlled type stuff and run the ball a little bit and go from there. I think that would be if I were coaching, and I'm not, but if I were, that's exactly what I would do, is line up with that big offensive line you got and, make him a guy that can pick apart folks and then hand the ball off a little bit. I think Georgia would be a lot better off on that front, in my opinion. But then again, that's why you and I are here and not on the sideline. Mm-hmm. So that, and you and I would have to express our opinion against idiots like us. we'd be happy to go and yell at people like, hey, you don't go to practice, shut your mouth. I could hear you and I doing that. Anyway, let's get some picks, man. You got some good picks for this weekend before we get you out of here?
Yeah, I do. I like Indiana this weekend versus Michigan State. Indiana -7 against the Michigan State Spartans. Indiana looking for a 4-0 start right now, and this is a very good football team right now. They did beat Penn State in the opener, but they've also beat Michigan. And I mean, this team is looking good right now. I like them versus the Michigan State Spartans, who have struggled except for when they played Michigan this year, which was, Michigan's just a laugher year in and year out. But I think Indiana's going to get it done versus Michigan State. I like them 38-27 this weekend against the Spartans. So that's one of my picks that I had this weekend. Also, let's look and see what else I had this weekend. There's a lot of games canceled. So Army plus 5.5. At Tulane. I really like Army team. This Jeff Monken led football team. They're sitting at 6-1. This is a game that you would maybe expect Army to be favored in. They're 6-1. Tulane 4-3, and the spread just jumps out to me right away. And I really like this Army team. I look for Army to maybe pull the upset this weekend over Tulane, but I'm pounding the 5.5 that you're getting with Army this weekend.
All right, South Carolina.
Those are two games that I like.
Yeah, South Carolina playing on the road at Ole Miss. The line went from 7 to like 8.5. I think it's at 7 now, 7.5. The only thing I like about this game is I like the over, meaning that I think Missouri is going. Ole Miss is going to score a lot of points, and I also think that Ole Miss is not going to play a lot of defense. So I think South Carolina can go in there and score 30 on their own, and I think the over/under is like at 69, something like that.
It's like 70 right now.
Yeah, so I mean, I like the over on that. But what do you think about this matchup between the Gamecocks and the Rebels?
Well, the line's actually gone up now, Rob, to 11. Ole Miss is favored by 11 right now.
That money is flying in on Ole Miss.
Yeah. I'd probably roll with South Carolina on this one, just take the points and run. I don't think Ole Miss has a very good defense, like you said. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. You could see maybe a 45-42 type game, 41-38, something like that. I'm going to take Carolina with the points, even though they have not looked very good since that Auburn victory they had a few weeks ago. They have struggled mightily. 48-3 Texas A&M, 52-24 LSU. If they can just hang around this team, I think that Ole Miss can. I think South Carolina can cover against Ole Miss this weekend.
One other matchup that I want to look at before we get you out of here, Miami and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech lost at home to Liberty. They were an 18-point favorite in that game. They lose at home to Liberty. Miami comes in, De'Aaron King looking like he is all 5'9" of him, just out there just playing his butt off. But still an interesting matchup in Blacksburg. The opening line in that game was at 2. Virginia Tech a 2-point favorite. Now it's up to it's up to 2.5. So which way are you leaning in this ACC matchup?
Yeah, I think this is kind of a trap game for Miami. I think that they are going to cover the spread, but I know Miami wants to win. So I'm going Virginia Tech 31-30 over the Hurricanes this weekend, but I'll take Miami with the 2.5 points. I just think that Virginia Tech, they're going to be angry this week after that loss to Liberty, like you said. And I like Miami this weekend to cover the spread. I think it's going to be a very close game. Could come down to the final possession of the ball game. This is normally a pretty good game between Virginia and Tech and Miami. I'll take Miami plus 2.5 on the points, but maybe a late field goal for Virginia Tech to win it.
All right, Tyler Crowder, host of Kicking It with Crowder, joining us this afternoon. We appreciate you giving us a little knowledge this afternoon as we get set up for the weekend. Tyler, tell folks where they can find you on Twitter and where they can listen to your show.
All right, guys. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Kick It with Crow. I post all my picks. I'll be posting my picks for tonight, the NFL game tonight, and as well college football games this weekend. And then on, guys, Apple, Spotify, the iHeartRadio app, basically anywhere you find your podcast, guys, you can catch my new episode every Wednesday, about 9, 10 o'clock every Wednesday night.
There you go, Tyler, man. Thanks for joining us on the rundown today, buddy. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
All right, there you go. Tyler Crowder joining us. And what I like about Tyler is that a lot of times these people will put out their games that they pick and they'll talk about, oh, I'm this and that or what have you. Tyler posts his every day on Twitter at Kicking It with Crow. He's at like 65 to 70% every month with whatever games he's picking. And a lot of the times he'll do basketball, he does football, he does baseball too. Go and check him out if you are one of those folks that, Governor McMaster thinks that we're not smart enough to actually place bets here. But if you're listening to the show on the iHeartRadio app somewhere else and you'd like to place a bet, have at it. You can do that and listen and catch some of Tyler's picks. You might make some money. Go out and buy that wife a steak dinner. And then of course you can thank us here on the rundown. Thank Tyler Crowder too. So there you go with that. We come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Masters. I'll give you an update on who is leading in Augusta. It is so weird right now for me to be watching the Masters in November. Weird. So we'll talk about that a lot more in just a moment. You're listening to The Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Hey, you guys rock over there, man. If you could like my my rundown page, I would appreciate that. I know some of you guys are watching. Let's see here. Yeah, some of you are watching on the Robin Comrade page. If you could like the rundown page, that would be awesome. So I'm trying to. I mean, I love my Robin Comrade listeners, but this is like my own personal show, and I'm trying to get everyone to like the Rundown with Rob page. So if you could find that page and like it, I would be most appreciative. As we build the audience up over there a little bit. And I act the same. Well, not really. The Robin Comrade show is a little more, I don't know. It's a little more fun. What I mean by fun is that we're more goof off. Over here, I try to bring some facts, facts sprinkled with opinion. It's kind of where I go at with this show, but appreciate you guys, man. Jason says he thinks the college football season is a borrowed time. A lot of talk from Democrats about a 4 to 6 week shutdown. I don't know how that's going to happen. And I don't think that's going to, and I don't like to talk politics, but I don't think that's going to happen until the inauguration day in January. So if that happens, the college football season should be over by then. You might talk about how the Super Bowl may be locked down. I don't see that with the way college football is right now. I think everything will get in before inauguration day and before they have enough time to get things moving. So, and in South Carolina, I don't think it's going to happen anyway. Yeah, so there's that. Angie, how is it, dear? How you doing, dear? Good to see you joining us here on the rundown this afternoon. So, but yeah, you can make that argument about the about college football, but I'm so amazed with the Masters, man, having being played like right now in the middle of the fall. It's kind of crazy. I don't know how to keep the grass that green over there. That's another thing. All right, here we go.
Rob sounds good.
Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. As we roll along this afternoon, we will give you an update from the Masters. I feel so weird talking about the Masters, as I said before we went off into our break here. But the Masters is going on right now. And if you're looking out at the course, which I've got it on the big screen TV that the wonderful folks at iHeartMedia have provided here. And I think that when I see it, I don't know how they keep the grass that green this time of year. Like, you go to my yard, and I'm not like Johnny Q. I'm not Johnny Q. Keep my yard spick and span like some folks, but I don't know what they do with the grass, man. That's just kind of how I look at it. But we'll look at the Masters leaderboard right now as we get moving here. I know Tiger Woods has had a pretty good day, but let's see if I can actually get the leaderboard to refresh here as we roll along here on the Rundown this afternoon. If you want to respond to what I was talking about with Tyler too, would love to hear from you on that as well. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832 is the number to call. If you'd like to join us on the Rundown here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Paul Casey leads the way. He is finished up. He is at 7 under par. Very good run for him. Webb Simpson's at 5 under. Schauffele, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's also at 5 under. He's 2 shots back. Matsuyama is at 4 shots back. All of those guys have completed their rounds, along with B. Westwood, Louis Oosthuizen, and Reed all check in at 4 under. Tiger Woods is on the 17th hole, or through the 17th hole. He is at 4 under par as he defends his Masters championship from last season. And I tell you what, he looked pretty good today. And one of the cool things and people say this all the time about the Masters, you can go through on Friday and just be competitive. And it's great that Paul Casey went and shot a 7 under. But guys like Jon Rahm at 3 under, Tony Finau at 3 under, Tiger Woods at 4 under, Matt Kuchar at 2 under. Those are the guys that are going to make the cut, and they're going to be there on Saturday. And, Saturday is moving day at the Masters. Okay. Now, one of the things that's different in the fall, people say the course plays a little bit longer in the fall because of the temperatures, etc. Also, they don't have enough daylight. That's something else that's happening out there now. Like, you've got guys that are teeing off like right now that are, just getting their rounds underway. And, they're teeing off right now. They're going to have issues getting them in before the sun goes down. So there's that. So interesting stuff there with the Masters. We'll give you some more on that in just a moment. Also, we'll talk about some more football matchups this weekend and a lot more. You're listening to the Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. I think Happy Gilmore said it best. Like, if I wore what some of these guys wore to play golf, I would probably kick myself in the face. I mean, some of these golfing outfits are just absurd. I mean, does your father know that you're going out to play like that? Like, by the way, like, I'm wearing my nice collared shirt today, a pair of khaki shorts. Like, that's what you should be allowed to go in. I understand that you have to wear pants out there on the course, but wow. And what's with the guy? And I know it's tradition, but like, your caddy has to wear like just a full white outfit. Is that so you can pick him out from afar? What is that about, Augusta National? I know that someone will tell me that's some kind of crazy tradition that I don't know anything about, and I should like close my mouth because my golf game is horrendous. But Bryson DeChambeau wore a hat today that was atrocious. It was like one of those little, like, I don't know if it's like a beanie hat or whatever, but he just looked silly. Absolutely silly. Now I know people are like, oh, well, Rob, you're just so bland. Look at you. You wear bland colored shirts and stuff. No, I'm not. I'm full of color. Just saying, I got colorful shirts, but I'm not on national TV playing golf. Dustin Johnson, 2 under on the day. He's knocking some stuff around. He's trying to grow a beard like me. One day he'll hit puberty. He'll be able to have that full beard like I've got. That's another point to ponder for today. Why is it that I have, like, I'm able to grow this nice full beard that, like, is just really full and thick and everything else, but like I'm losing hair on top of my head? Doesn't make any sense, man. Struggling. Things I'm struggling with.
On iHeartRadio.
That sounds like a pretty good choice to me.
Welcome back to the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Fred Couples is on the 11th green right now. He's even. A long putt for par here for Fred Couples. I like it when some of the older guys get out there and show these guys, hey, man, I can still play. And for the first 2 rounds of the Masters, they can do that. And then all of a sudden, they realize, man, I'm old. I can't compete that far. I was telling the folks that were watching on Facebook Live, which you can watch as well. Just go find the Rundown with Rob page on Facebook. I know there's like some big thing about the way that people dress and stuff like that at the Masters, but I don't get the whole thing with their caddies having to wear a full white like outfit. And I'm one of those people where if I'm wearing a fully white outfit, especially if I'm out trying to caddy for, like if I had to wear a full white outfit to play golf with as bad as my golf game is, I would literally have that thing a nice shade of green from the knees down by like the 9th hole. I mean, I'm serious. So now I know they're professional caddies and they get to play a lot, but yeah. By the way, one quick thing before we move into some other stuff this afternoon. The University of South Carolina put out today that they're going to have Topgolf at Williams-Brice. It's like the Topgolf Stadium Tour where you can play Topgolf Live coming to Williams-Brice Stadium. You basically hit balls from around the stadium and you aim at flag sticks on the field. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to go and do this. I mean, I'm setting myself up where I can go and do this down at Williams-Brice Stadium. It's going to be April 8th through the 11th, which is Masters weekend. Now, I know a lot of folks go and they want to go play golf anyway on the Masters, but on Masters weekend, I like to go out to Fort Jackson's golf course and play out there. That's where my father-in-law used to play. And if I'm going to play, that's where I kind of like to play. But this sounds like a lot of fun where you hit golf balls with the difference being obviously the backdrop. And I guess you're hitting from different spots around the stadium onto the field and you're trying to hit different spots. Sounds like fun. Now, here's the thing. If you're like if we have a group of 4 or whatever, and they put us like a section apart, I have a whole problem with if I'm hitting with like my any of my fairway woods, I catch the ball off the nozzle. I'm going to clear some people out of Williams-Brice Stadium before it's over with. I mean, that's going to happen. That is going to happen. I mean, I'll knock somebody out with a ball not even meaning to, or I'll just wrap a ball around and just hook it right into the crowd into someone else. So this could be a disaster. They may only let me swing the club like twice. Once I'll call it an accident. The second time they're like, you suck. Get out of here. What are you doing here? You moron. Get out of here. We don't want anything to do with you. Yeah, that's going to happen. with Top Golf down there. I'm actually going to start hitting the driving range now so I can at least like hit my pitching wedge and stuff like that a little bit better because, as of right now, I'm pretty terrible, which makes it funny that I'm making fun of the some of the outfits that I'm seeing at the Masters. Well, I'm not sure what I would wear to Top Golf. Edwin says Rob will get banned for life from Williams-Brice Stadium. You might be right. 803-978-1832. Would you play Top Golf down at Williams-Brice? Is that something you would think about doing? 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832 is the number to call. Don't be surprised if on April 8th, what is April 8th? I got to look at the calendar. April the 8th, as we look way ahead, I'm glad that this 2020 year is over with. April the 8th is on a Thursday. Don't be surprised if I take the Thursday off of the Masters and I am down at Williams-Brice tweeting out pictures of me looking like a complete imbecile trying to hit golf balls onto the field at Williams-Brice. I have no problem doing that. By the way, there are other places that this is going to happen. Arizona State, Florida State, Baylor, Bank of America Stadium up in Charlotte, Florida Stadium, which I guess down in the swamp, Oklahoma Stadium, Tennessee Stadium, Georgia Stadium, Raymond James Stadium, San Jose, also Portland, Cleveland, and Los Angeles. They're doing that at a stadium there too. So if you're listening from anywhere else that's not here in Columbia, you have the opportunity to go and check some of that out. I'm going to tweet out that information later on at Rob Sounds Good. You can look at that and see if that's something that you would like to partake in. I'm putting myself in on the 8th. I'm going to be there on day one, and we'll see how well I do. One of my favorite things about golf is that I know that I'm not very good at it, but I'll get out there with people that are like, they take this game way too seriously, which to me, none of us are going to win the Masters if we're playing at Top Golf at Williams-Brice Stadium. So I'm going to try to have as much fun as I possibly can and just hit some balls and go. All right. That's going to be my big thing there. But there's going to be some people that are going to take this way too seriously. And they're going to be looking around like, did you see that chunky guy over there trying to hit the 50-yard lob? And he had it like 35 yards. Then they're, don't look. Yeah. Look at him. He looks so bland in his clothes too. He needs to get some plaid on him. What's wrong with him? That's what people will be saying behind my back at Top Golf. Side note, I'm inviting Teddy Hefner right now from Talking Sports. Now, I know Teddy is 806 years old, but Teddy needs to come do Top Golf with me. He's got golf pros that sponsor his show. His golf game should be really good. We're not asking him to walk holes. I will carry his bag for him. All right? All he's got to do is just out there and hit the ball. So I'm sending the message out there to Teddy Hefner now. I want Teddy Hefner playing with me and Lawton Swan from Clemson Sports Talk, the czar of Clemson Sports, who is like, he doesn't like to pretend that he's competitive, but he's competitive. I played pickup basketball with the Swan, and after we played, he told me, he goes, yeah, I want you on my team, not against me. That's because I run my mouth a lot. But, yeah, I want the three of us to go play. And I'm willing to carry Teddy Hefner's bag. Please tweet at Clemson Sports and at the Teddy Hefner that I've challenged both of them, and we're going to go play Top Golf down at Williams-Brice. Anyway, I get off on a tangent of such silly things, but that's kind of, when I see stuff like that, I'm like, wow, that'll be fun. So, yeah, that's my challenge to those guys. I'm going to tweet at them later on that we're going to go out there. And you know what? I'm challenging Tim Frisbee, too. Tim comes in here and, you know, Tim played football when he was 40 for the Gamecocks. He should be able to go out there and hit some balls with us at Top Golf. That'd be a heck of a foursome. Me, Lawton Swan, Teddy Hefner, and Tim Frisbee. All four of us playing on the 8th. That's got to happen. April the 8th, I'm taking that day off. I'm not doing a show that day. Not going to do it. We're just going to go down, and I'm taking a vacation day. My one vacation day out of the year I'm going to take. We're going to go play Top Golf at Williams-Brice. All right, if you could have your foursome that you'd want to play with, we'll talk about that too. You can give us a call at 803-978-1832. I think Teddy would do well. I was some balls in some media home run derby one time with Teddy Hefner, like hit baseballs at the Forest Acres Classic. And I think I hit like 2 or 3 balls out of the infield. Teddy was roping balls. I mean, he had one that hit the fence. I was impressed. So there you go, my challenge. I'm going to tweet that out at them here momentarily. At Clumpson Sports, at the Teddy Hefner, and at I am Tim Frisbee 89, challenging all 3 of them to come out and do some Top Golf with us. And I will carry Teddy Hefner's bag. There you go. More of the rundown in just a moment. Final segment coming up here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. I'm tweeting at these guys right now. Let's see here. They won't show up. It can't be a remote show there, Edwin, because there's going to be some drinking down there. I'm not going to go do Top Golf without drinking. Come on, man. That's not going to happen. There you go. Let's see if they respond to that. I challenged the comrade. You know the comrade there, Edwin, who does the Rob Comrade and Kale show with me. Brian wants to know how many years I've done sports radio. I think this is my, 3rd year really doing this show. I've done a podcast for 4 years now. I've covered the Gamecocks and done sports, like sports updates and sports reports and stuff like that for like, I'm showing my age here a little bit, 18 years. Wow, that's a long time. Yeah. But it's what I wanted to do when I was a kid, so
Online at foxsportsradio1400.com, on your phone with the iHeartRadio app, and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos, an iHeartRadio station.
Leading at the Masters as they have finished their round. Paul Casey 7 under par. Simpson, Schauffele, Matsuyama, Westwood, Uthazen, Reed, Woods, all are within the top 5 there. Tiger Woods finished his day 4 under par. So a great round for him. John Rahm has finished up his round, which, by the way, was my pick to win the whole thing. And he is at 3 under par right there in position, ladies and gentlemen. DeChambeau, who was everybody else's pick, is at 2 under par. Jason Day's also at 2 under par. Ricky Fowler's at 2 under par. Edwin has a question about would I take Kyle Trask over Mac Jones? Yes. Absolutely yes. And the reason being is because when I get Kyle Trask, I get the tight end that he gets to throw the ball to, Kyle Pitts. And with those two, and man, when he's out there and he's playing, right? I know this is like some of the maybe it's unfair to put this kind of pressure on him, but in my mind, when I see Kyle Pitts, he looks like he is Rob Gronkowski. He really does. He blows past people. If you have and he's such a matchup nightmare that if you put a linebacker on him, he'll run right past them. If you put a safety on them, he'll probably run past them. If you put a defensive back on him, he's just going to beat them up. And Kyle Trask has the capability to throw the ball and get it to him whenever he wants. I mean, he can make the back shoulder touch throws that we've all talked about. And and I'm someone who believes in Trevor Lawrence right now. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be one of the top picks in the NFL draft. Bless his heart, he's got to go play for the Jets. But as far as college players right now, if I have to pick, you can make the argument that with Mac Jones, if he had a Waddle, but Waddle's injured. And no disrespect to Alabama, and no disrespect to the young man Mac Jones, who, by the way, there were people talking about, oh, Mac Jones isn't going to be the starter this year. Man, he's put that to rest, hasn't he? There was talk that who was it? I want to say it's Bryce Young. Was that I think that's the name. I forgot your name, sir. You were supposed to be the starting quarterback at Alabama, and Mac Jones pretty much put a fire to that in a matter of seconds, as he has lit everything up. Crazy, crazy stuff. Jonathan says, the university is looking for cash when they're allowing people to whack golf balls in Williams-Brice Stadium, but won't allow a monster truck rally. There's been times that, at Williams-Brice, they've had some things that have gone on there, and then some things that they haven't. I don't know why. Like, if it's going to destroy the field, I don't really buy all that unless they're going to, whoever does the event is going to replace the entire field. Like when they had the Jay-Z concert down there with Beyonce, they replaced the entire field. I think it was 2 seasons ago, whenever that was. So I don't have that kind of problem if they're going to replace it, but I don't know, man. I'm still kind of one of those people that I wish the university would have been more on the front of, hey, we're going to share the baseball stadium here instead of us having to build another stadium for the Fireflies. But that's just me. Online, they rank quarterback rankings. Everyone's got Trevor Lawrence, Mac, and then Trask. For me, I look at who they got to play with. And being a good quarterback, in my opinion, is being able to make some of the players you have with you better. And if you have a Kyle Pitts with you, that can make a lot of difference. But I tell you what, you don't really lose with either of those 3 guys up top. He says Fields has to play more games to be in there. Well, that's the problem with Ohio State. They're not going to play enough games. I don't know, like, honestly, if you're just looking at things from a stat perspective, Justin Fields could end up playing 7 regular season games this year. He's not going to have the stats to be in the Heisman hunt. Then it's going to come down to people are just going to be like, well, I just think he's better. I don't have to see him play as much. It's the same thing that's kind of derailed Trevor Lawrence's campaign, because he was the guy with all of there too. He gets out for a game because of 2 games because of COVID-19. Now he's not even talked about in the Heisman race. I wish that there were a set of Heisman voters that would say, you know what? I don't have to vote for a quarterback. I don't have to vote for a running back. I could vote for a tight end. I could go with Kyle Pitts. Or I could go with a great defensive player like they should have done years ago when Ndamukong Suh was the best player in college football, hands down, and didn't win the Heisman Trophy. That's why the Heisman Trophy doesn't mean anything to me, because it's not necessarily the best player in college football. It's the best quarterback or the best running back or who puts up the best stats or who can play both ways and do things here. And I don't get it. If you're going to be call yourself from the Touchdown Club and you're looking for the best player in college football, then Kyle Pitts should be at the top of the list, right up there with these other guys. If you watched last week, and I know I talked about Trask earlier being such a great player, he missed Kyle Pitts when Kyle Pitts went out of that game against the Georgia Bulldogs. When he got shook up, that's the way that it was. He missed. But they shouldn't call it just the best player. It's a pretty boy award. I know that sounds silly and it sounds like it's derogatory, but it's not. It's the guys that are the face of the team. And I don't have a problem if you're going to call it, hey, we're just looking for the best quarterback, running back, playmaker. That's fine. But I was done with the Heisman years ago when Ndamukong Suh didn't win it because he was that dominant and would just completely take over football games for Nebraska. And no, he can't win it because the people that voted for it didn't have the gumption to just say, you know what, we're going to buck history here a little bit, and we're actually going to give it to the absolute best player in college football. He was by far the best at his position, period. Yeah, not so much. Nobody wants to talk about that. So I used to goof with Kevin McCreary because he was one of the Heisman voters. And I wish that Kevin would do that. Just put the best defensive player in there. Why not? Why not? But there's so much Heisman this and Heisman that. I don't feel it at all. By the way, I tweeted out at several folks challenging them to Topgolf, and right now it's crickets. Just saying. I may have to take some listeners with me because the people that I challenged aren't jumping on board. I even told Teddy I'd carry his bag. What does that get me? Nothing. I may have to get Christopher Thompson, our sports director. He'll go with me. I'll get Gary David from the WVOC Morning Show, and Kelly Nash and Jonathan Rush. We'll take those two. We'll go play Topgolf. And then they can laugh at me and be like, look at that chunky guy over there wearing that stupid outfit. What's wrong with him? Yeah, I can see that too. Anyway, speaking of the top morning show here in Columbia as far as sports goes is Teddy Hefner from 9 to noon. Clemson Sports Talk is your way to drive home right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400 and around the world on the iHeart Radio app and the vast Clemson Sports Talk Radio Network, Sports Radio 100.1, The Fan in Florence, 9:20 a.m. in Manning. You got to listen to Lawton's show because he's got all kinds of folks that spend some time with him, and you might learn something. So there you go with that. Edwin says he wants to fly in from Cali. All right. You got to have a passport to go there. We may have to sneak him out. All right. So tomorrow on the rundown, we'll give you our full picks for the weekend. Looking forward to that. Will Vanderbilt will join us too. We'll have all that tomorrow for you on the rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life.
Appreciate y'all, man. We might work something out, man. I want to go. Seriously. I got to save up some money and buy Edwin a ticket. Appreciate you guys, man. You guys rock. Thank you guys for listening.